Patatas Origin TV.
Hello, everyone. Today is a special day. It's Thanksgiving here in North America, and we will have quite a few Thanksgiving ghost stories for you. Welcome to the show, and let's start. The first story is Thanksgiving Day Ghost by Kenglish. A few years ago, I was at my parents' home for a family dinner on Thanksgiving Day. This is the house I grew up in and have never experienced anything paranormal. What happened to me this day was very surprising and still bothers me to this day. I spent the early part of the day helping my mother in the kitchen preparing dinner. We were laughing and talking and looking forward to sitting down to eat with the whole family. While making pumpkin pies, my mother needed a break from the heat of the kitchen and went into the living room to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I stayed in the kitchen and continued to work. While making the pies, I needed to go to the pantry to get some ingredients. The pantry is located down a short hallway connecting the kitchen with the back of the house. I grabbed the items I needed and headed back to the kitchen. I was almost back to the kitchen when I remembered that I forgot to grab something and quickly pivoted around to head back to the pantry. To my shock, there was a man standing near the area I just was. It must have been 2 to 3 seconds, even though it felt like forever. And then he was gone. I've never seen this man before, but I can remember he was wearing overalls and a hat. The most disturbing thing for me was it seemed as though he reacted to me. It was like he was either shocked that I saw him or he was shocked to see me. After seeing this man, I decided not to tell my mother or father. It wasn't until months later I finally felt comfortable enough to tell my mom about it. She was interested, but said she never had anything unusual happen to her in the 35 years she lived in the house. I know what I saw. I know he was there. My question is, why? Who is he? Why did I see him? In my 28 years of living and now visiting my childhood home, I have so many great memories, but the 2 to 3 seconds on that Thanksgiving Day seems to be burned into my mind more than anything else I have experienced in the house. Our second story is titled Another Haunted Music Box by Kelly. My father bought a music box for my mother 20 years ago. He was on a business trip to Denver, Colorado, and bought one for her and one for me for Christmas. Hers is a Blue Merlin style magician that plays Music of the Night from Phantom of the opera. My mother was never a Phantom fan, and she never wound or played the music box. Sat on the shelf on the far wall of the living room, away from general traffic. 13 years ago, it was about Thanksgiving time. The whole family was home. My brother was home from the Navy. My husband and I, and our oldest son, and new 1 month old. My parents had divorced the year after he bought the box, so he was the only one not there, although he came by later to see my brother. My mother, brother, and oldest son were in the kitchen. My husband was back in the bedroom, and I was sitting on the couch with the baby in the living room, about 15 feet from the music box. Suddenly, it started playing. I thought it was a spring that had been wound too tight and just let loose. So I put the baby in his carrier and walked over and picked up the figure. The music box workings are in a clear plastic box in the base. The key wasn't moving, the drum wasn't moving, and the spring was completely slack. The song played, even with it in my hand, for 3 full minutes, and then stopped. We all thought it was very strange, but shrugged it off. My mother passed away in October 2011. Last year at Christmas, actually on Christmas Eve, it went off again. We were all in the kitchen, at least 20 feet away from it. This time, my brother walked over to pick it up and brought it over for all of us to see it wasn't moving. It played a little longer, and then I got frustrated with it, looked up at the ceiling and said, "What?" It immediately stopped. Playtime was 2 minutes and 3 seconds, not the full 3 minutes the first time was. Yesterday, I pulled into my driveway. My husband, holding the music box in the front door, greeted me. It started playing exactly 3 minutes before I pulled into the driveway and stopped as my car pulled to stop in front of the garage again. No movement from the music box mechanical workings. And I've taken the figure apart to see if there was an electronic component that might be causing it. But the figure is hollow with no electronics. Our third story is entitled Rest Your Head by J.R. Gurganis, 1998. Now, this story may not be the scariest or most heart-racing story you've ever heard, but it is a true one. However, before I begin, allow me to introduce myself. My name is John. I'm 17 years old. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, which means you hear voices and weird noises all the time. All of them human, you would assume, right? Not on the night of Thanksgiving 2014. This time, I was up late talking to my friend Kyle. He was raised Buddhist, and he tried to explain to me the significance of opening one's third eye. While he was talking, I began to see movement out of the corner of my eye. I glanced at them to see tiny orbs floating through the room, then disappearing almost as soon as I see them. I tell Kyle what I'm seeing, and he tells me this is your third eye beginning to open. Don't fear this, embrace it. So I continued to watch them float around, laughing cheerfully, not even thinking of the fact that it was 3 a.m. and my parents were asleep in the next room. At about 3:45 a.m., Kyle decides he's tired and wants to go to bed. I wish my friend good night and continue to goof off on the computer. Then I was starting to feel like someone or something was watching me. I look up from my computer screen, and at the foot of my bed was a tall woman in black, floating slightly above the floor. She was wearing all black, her skin pale as paper. Her eyes were glowing an emerald green color. Most people would be petrified if they saw this apparition, but for some reason, I felt safe with her there. Then she speaks. Rest your head. Note that this could not have possibly been a person. My parents were asleep. My siblings were asleep. They were all in different rooms. This was not a person. But I did as she told me to do. I powered down my laptop, put it on the charger, made myself comfortable, and fell asleep. Our last story is a two-part story entitled Incubus Story by Cute's Cry Doll. This is very uncomfortable, but I want some answers. It all started about Thanksgiving break 2009. I already knew there was something in the house, and when I tried to tell my mother, she just said it was my imagination. I would feel it around me, watching me, and sometimes hear it at night when alone in my bed. I don't remember what day of Thanksgiving break it was, but I went to my friend Candy's house, and we went out to eat with her mom at Chili's. We started talking about ghosts and the paranormal. You know, that kind of stuff. Her mom used to be real into it, like me and Candy are. She was telling us how dangerous it was, but at the same time how fun. This got me and Candy really excited. The three of us planned to hold a seance. Well, the day we were going to do it, I got grounded, so I couldn't go. So they didn't do it because I wasn't there. I was kind of thinking maybe this was a sign not to do it, so we never planned another. After we left the restaurant, me and Candy went in her room. We made a Ouija board. We started talking to what we thought was a kind spirit. After all, that's what we asked for. He said his name was Devine, and he was giving me a lot of attention, way more than I wanted. He kept complimenting me and saying how beautiful I was. We both thought it was weird, but we just kept asking questions. He said he wanted to protect me and love me. When I got home, it was like his presence had grown stronger. I think it was maybe a couple days later that I was lying on my bed. It was between 10 and 11 at night. I felt something touching my leg. Then it opened my legs, and then I felt its, thing enter my thing. It lasted 5 to 10 minutes, maybe at most. It felt so good, so I did nothing. Over Christmas break, Candy and I brought out the board again. I didn't tell her what happened. It was too embarrassing. Too bad I didn't know the truth could not be hidden, no matter how hard I tried. I asked him on it if he was an incubus, and he said yes. Unlike me, Candy doesn't study this kind of stuff like I do. I read all I can about it. I don't know. I guess you could just call it curiosity. She kept asking me what it was, and finally I told her. Then she asked me if he did anything to me, and I wouldn't answer. So she asked him, and he said yes. We kept talking to him like it was a joke. The seriousness never really applied to us. Then a couple of days later, it was late, maybe 11 at night. I felt him. He was stronger, even more so. I was laying in bed when he came to me. It lasted for 2 hours long that time. All I did was switch positions. It was the best feeling ever. I didn't stop it, even though I could have. Then the last week of Christmas break, Candy slept over my house, and we slept in the living room. I'd been shoving Devine off the last week, at night when he came, so I knew he was angry. After a short orgasm, he held me down by my hips. It started to hurt really bad, so I tried to get up, but he pushed me down. I tried 3 times until he finally let me go. I haven't used the board since. I decided it was too dangerous. I just leave him alone now. Sometimes he'll come to me at night and pleasure himself, but I've decided to let it be. We both just coexist now, and every now and then our paths cross. The last time I felt him was 2 nights ago. He gave me a short orgasm and held me down again. This was in the morning, so I said, I have to get dressed. Get off. so he let go. So that's it. I guess I just want to know what you guys think and if you have any advice. Incubus Story 2 by Cute's Cry Doll. Wow, I haven't been on here for a while. My last story got a lot of attention, so I'm going to try and continue telling my stories. Okay, so it's been a long time. So yeah, the situation still remains. But okay, don't get mad at me when I tell you guys this. I let him stay. I tried to get rid of him, and then I realized why I couldn't. I became attached to him. He's a comfort to me now, and I really don't believe he's trying to hurt me anymore. Okay, you may think I'm crazy, but really, I think he's my protector. It's true, he protects me from other bad spirits or demons. A couple of weekends ago, me and my friend Candy went camping with her parents, and there was a cemetery down the road from it. Knowing me, that was the first thing on my agenda. I can't help my curiosity for the other side, let alone control it, so we had to go and check it out. So we snuck out one night and went over to it and took a camera. The camera didn't have night vision, so it was basically all EVP. So we got back to the camp and listened to it, and we got a voice saying either, "This is great," like in a very annoyed voice, or it might have said, "This is brave." We couldn't really tell. So the next night, we did the same thing, but more intense. We heard footsteps around us like feet breaking branches on the ground, and we also heard growling, but not the kind from an animal, because the cemetery couldn't have had anything in it that could have made that noise because of the high fences. Then I heard breathing next to me, and then Candy's inner thigh started to burn. So I asked her if she was okay, and then she started to yell that her leg was on fire. So I ran over to her, and we started running back to camp. We listened to the EVP, and we could hear the growling on it, so I instantly thought it was something demonic. We were both stoked that we caught stuff on tape, and a little worried about how it all played out. After listening to it, we went over to the showers and jumped in, and started doing our bathing rituals, when all of a sudden, Candy screamed at the top of her lungs. I rushed out of my shower that was right next to hers. She said her back was burning. I made her turn around. I began to cry, and she turned to face me and asked me what was wrong. And I told her she had scratch marks all over her back, and that they were welting in front of me. She asked me why it didn't happen to me, and I already knew the answer, but I just said I didn't know. I know Devine protected me because I could just feel it. I even wondered if maybe it was Devine himself, but I could feel that it wasn't. It was something much darker. I stood in the shower. She was in alone and nothing happened. I felt nothing. Whenever I get scared at night, I know he's there and I feel better. Sometimes he scares me when he walks over to my bed because of the footsteps I hear. My heart starts beating so hard it feels like it's going to explode. But eventually, I fall asleep, even though sometimes when he knocks on the wall, start I have to turn on a light. I can tell he doesn't like me to go to bed so early and tries to keep me up. I don't though, because of my early mornings. I still talk to him with the board. He's the only one I allow through. It was right before the camping trip. He said he was still mad at me for trying to get rid of him, and I said I was sorry and that I didn't want him to leave. So even with him mad, he still protected me. So that makes me mad at myself for being so mean to him for that short while. I know he'll forgive me. I can't get rid of him now. He's a part of me. He filled in the place that was missing in my life. I used to be really depressed until he came around. And yes, for all that are curious, sometimes we still, you know, but we're still repairing our relationship. But I know it will get better. And for those who think I'm stupid, well, all I have to say is I'd rather be stupid and happy than go back to my old life. Oh, one more thing. Shout out to Succubus, if that's how you spell it. But anyways, yeah, you helped the most last time. I read your story and it helped. Also tell Pure I say hi. Well, mga kapatatas, I hope you enjoyed those series of Thanksgiving stories. If you did, please like and share this with your friends. Comment your own scary stories down below and subscribe for more. Please enjoy the rest of the video.